Here's an irony in our current situation. We don't have that production capacity in this country. Where is it? It's mostly in China. So we are going to be getting millions and millions, we hope, of doses of vaccine from China in the next 8 or 10 or 12 months, as soon as we have the formula of the vaccine. But then you have to get it to places where people can be prioritized who need it. So who would those people be? First responders, healthcare professionals, people on the front lines, they need to be protected. We may need our military people to be vaccinated early, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Defense Department starts standing up hospitals and clinics the way that was done in Liberia in 2014 in the outbreak of Ebola, when we sent people and assets there through the Army.
There are some vaccines that are clearly of benefit and other vaccines that are not of benefit, and they need to be distinguished, and we need to look between them.
And before we get into maybe distinguish them slightly, Dr. Halverson, you know, what are the types of side effects? Like, are they really significant side effects, or, you know, is it better to take that rather than getting the risk of many diseases?
Well, that again depends on the vaccine. Some vaccine, the benefit outweighs the risk, and some vaccines, in my view, the risks clearly outweigh the benefits. Now, all vaccines have side effects, like any medicine. Anytime you take a tablet or a drug or a vaccine, there's the risk of side effects. And occasionally, that risk is severe. The side effects, severe side effects can happen. Governments wouldn't have vaccine damage injury compensation programs if they didn't acknowledge that there was a real risk of serious side effects, albeit rare. There is an additional problem, is that we're very uncertain about the long-term effects of vaccines. They have a profound effect on the immune system, and we're adding more and more and more to the schedule. And we know that vaccines can cause autoimmune diseases. We know that vaccines can cause allergies. We don't know what sort of problems they may be building up for the future. And so we should be more cautious when we add more and more vaccines to the schedule for diseases that are less important.
I understand freedom of religion. We all do. We respect it. I've heard the anti-vaxxers theory, but I believe both are overwhelmed by the public health risk.
One has to take all these figures with a pinch of salt. As far as the flu vaccine goes, and I'm an expert in children's vaccinations, so I'm going to talk about children. As far as flu vaccinations go, there is very little risk of flu to children. And I think the benefit of giving children the flu vaccine every year, which is what certainly is now encouraged in the UK, is very questionable. Let's go back a few years to the swine flu outbreak that we had about 7 years ago. You may remember there was this huge pandemic, and the whole world got into a panic about swine flu. We rushed out this vaccine on the market. It has since been found that the vaccine that was introduced actually did more harm than good. Lots of children got narcolepsy, a very serious debilitating disease, because of that vaccine. And in fact, more children got narcolepsy because of the swine flu vaccine than died from flu. So that was a case where the vaccine did more harm than good. So again, we need to be cautious.
We may be doing that in public spaces in this country to get the vaccine delivered to those people. You haven't seen the military do that in quantity in this country since the Civil War. This is going to be a very difficult period, and we as Americans are going to have to, as we're learning, change our behavior. We are being reminded that we are biological creatures, and that's an important lesson to learn. It will and already has come at a heavy cost, not only in terms of illness and fear and panic and anxiety, also lives. We are going to be changed by this experience. Public health people have been warning about this for decades. Government has stood up public health systems and then taken money out of them. We can't do that anymore. The world is different. We'll be better off for it, but it is going to be tough.
The risk of measles is actually exaggerated. I'm not saying we shouldn't vaccinate. I think there is a case for vaccination against measles, because measles can be serious, though it is rarely serious in healthy children. When I was young, we all caught measles, and we didn't actually live in fear of it, though I quite agree that measles can be dangerous, again, usually in children with serious underlying health problems. Interestingly as well, Measles also has benefits. If you contract measles as a child, providing you get through it healthily, of course, the risks of allergies is reduced, the risk of asthma is reduced, even the risk of some childhood cancers such as lymphoma and leukemia is reduced. This is good science. This is published scientific papers. So I'm not saying we shouldn't vaccinate, but we should just have a debate about the benefits and the risks. But it's not as clear cut as some people believe.
These parents here today believe that it's a parent's right to choose or refuse vaccines for their own children based on faith.